Welcome to the Wellness Insights podcast with the Jordan brothers. I'm Nathan, and
And and I'm Sean. Today we're going to be talking about something I think a lot of people can relate to. We're in the midst of the holiday season, and a lot of times there's a lot of travel, a lot of hustle and bustle. You're making plans and changing them on the fly when things go wrong.
yeah,
So today we're going to be talking about how to stress less during the holidays.
and we know that you know the drives and the travel and the sometimes even some of the people could be a little stressful.
Yeah, people you might not have seen all year, and
Yeah,
you grew fonder over them as time went by, and
because the absence, as they
yes,
say.
absence and fondness, and
But you love them, so you,
yeah,
you don't want to give them the stress side of you. So here's some things that Sean mainly researched, on how to, reduce that stress. And first, we'd like to talk about meditation because it's one of those things you don't have to, really have, like if you're working out, you got to have gym equipment or something or a place to work out with a lot of space. Meditation's just something you could do pretty much anywhere if I'm not wrong.
you're right. I do want to say though, before we get on too much further, it's important to just keep in mind that we're not physicians. We're just a couple of dudes going through life and sharing with you the things that we find that work. So if there's anything on here, like any of the herbal support we might talk about, or any other things like that, definitely seek medical advice before taking these things on your own.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, meditation, it's one of them things like you were saying, you don't need equipment. Uh, it doesn't hurt to have, depending on what type of meditation you're doing, doesn't hurt to have like a cushion or a good comfortable spot, but there's not a lot of investment in it. Uh, it's pretty, it can be really easy to start. So if, you know, you're just now hearing about it and you're just now interested in getting the stress relief properties of it during the holiday, it's pretty easy to pick up.
Yeah, and speaking to like the location, obviously you want to pick somewhere that's quiet with no distraction because that's one of the big parts that we're seeing about
Hmm.
meditation is, the mind has to be cleared and it can't be, chewing on thoughts, if you will. Like what was that sound over there?
Hmm.
you know. So one place I've had a lot of success meditating in is like a vehicle with the
Hmm.
doors shut. It's super quiet in a vehicle. I mean, unless you're sitting in the city or something, But yeah, it's a good place. Sunrooms, nature.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and even if you don't have a dedicated place, which it's definitely preferred, if you find not necessarily a dedicated place, but a more appropriate location, if you're in a place that you know that you're safe, but it's still kind of noisy, like you're hanging out in a hotel room with your family, just put in some earplugs or put on some noise canceling headphones, and with the headphones, you have an opportunity of using like a guided meditation.
yeah,
It can
and
help you keep you focused.
yeah. No, a lot of hotels even have you know boardrooms and stuff that are not being used, or maybe you could just vibe with the ice machine in the hallway. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a nice little hum to it sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's definitely important, to try to stay consistent. You'll see more benefits if you keep yourself to a schedule, but of course don't stress yourself out over it because that'd be
Yeah.
counterproductive.
Yeah,
But
the best thing to do is really kinda get a feel for what time, the amount of time that works for you. if you hear some teacher or someone giving advice online, or you Google it, and it's like 5 to 10 minutes, if you can only get 2 minutes in, that's better than nothing. So,
Yeah.
find what works for you and don't focus so heavily on all the details as far as like how long you're meditating or how often, even just as frequently as possible and whatever time frame feels comfortable for you.
And I've kind of I've watched a lot of videos and even read some stuff about some of the techniques and stuff like that. Like as far as achieving that relaxing state and that peaceful mind. You know, um,
Hmm.
I don't know if you've got more sources handy, but sometimes that it's good to imagine things like different parts of your body relaxing, from your head to your toe, and
Hmm.
that'll help you identify places that you're holding tension more, like muscles you didn't know you were having tensed up, and
Hmm.
different
Yeah,
mechanics of like clearing your mind, like imagining thoughts of as bubbles and popping them. I've heard that suggested a few times. I've also
I heard a
heard.
couple.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good, man. I'll just go say I heard a couple of other really cool techniques too, where you just focus on tightening and relaxing muscles that can actually cause your nervous system to, like, a sort of active way for you to, focus on something really tangible to calm your nervous system directly.
Yeah.
And you were talking about visual exercises, and it reminded me of one that I've heard that works for me sometimes, and that's imagining that you're like a vessel, and that the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingertips are have stoppers in them,
Yeah.
and that you're just pulling out the stoppers and letting out the stress, whatever you gotta visualize.
Yeah,
um
some of the most
Helps.
refreshing meditation comes when you can completely empty the brain,
Hmm.
which is really hard to achieve, and there's people, that spent years of their lives mastering it, you know.
It seems like those people finally get there when they, because if you go into it trying to say don't think of anything, don't think of anything.
Then you're thinking about not thinking about things.
Exactly.
And
So it's
that in
definitely something
itself
that
is
will.
thinking. So,
Yeah.
but like there's different methods and different tools available, lots of books, and um just kind of a good segue here. Um, the other day, I got the Silva meditation book on Audible to listen to. I didn't get too far into it, but it's so far it's kind of explaining like who Jose Silva was and his techniques, and I'm just kind of curious. I know you said you've been using the Silva method yourself, and
Mhm.
you probably know a lot more than I do about it. So, like, what are your thoughts on it and takeaways?
It's definitely very useful, and it's just a different, to me, kind of a unique perspective on meditation, and it kind of comes down more to like less the traditional meditation, although that tool is utilized. It's more about reprogramming your subconscious thought patterns
Yeah,
by entering an alpha state. So you're putting your brain into a state of learning and relaxation simultaneously, and you're able to kind of imprint things like your conscious desires on it, so that when you're out of that meditative state, you're subconsciously doing things to bring you to the state you want to be in
yeah.
regularly. So,
And
uh,
that's like some of the things I heard about Silva is it uses some like mental visuality tricks
mhm,
too, like imagining, um, you know, the good things you want in life on a screen like so many feet in front of you. Like
Hmm.
I don't remember the exact footage there, but it's very interesting, something that I can grasp,
Yeah,
and
that's another the other thing about it is it's really the way it's worded and everything, and the just the things they use for comparisons and things are
it's
just
very
really.
intuitive.
Yeah, it's almost like you just read it once and you're accidentally doing some of
Yeah,
it.
and like that mental wave state. Which one were you talking about first? The beta or the
Alpha.
alpha? Yeah, the
Hmm.
alpha state, if I'm not mistaken, is the way your brain is like in certain places in sleep, but like right when you wake up mostly. Is that correct?
It's like right when like that moment you're awake, just waking up, and that moment you're just falling asleep, that where you're aware of your surroundings, but you're you know, kind
Yeah.
of distant from yourself. I'm sure everyone has been there. You're dozing off in a room with people talking, and they sound like they're in the other room,
Yeah.
but you can still hear them talking. And that's the state you're trying to go into. And that state itself is very relaxing. It's uh, later we're going to be talking about rest, and that's one of my favorite ways to rest is just
Yeah.
to lose, like, unfocus and enter that state and just be there for a minute.
Yeah. And I'm sure we could probably do a whole episode on just Silva alone, but
Oh yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. Just beginning to understand it myself. Sean's been on the journey, if you will, for longer, but it's definitely something to look into. Also, another thing to look into for the holiday season to reduce stress is some herbal support.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And now tea, yeah, you know, everybody does tea, and the chamomile. I'm sure everybody listening might even have that box of celestial chamomile tea in their uh but like aromatherapy caught my eye, like just smelling things, like absorbing them through your like sinuses and your lungs. Is that how it works, you think?
Yeah, it's kind of I mean there's a combination of actually absorbing the terpenes, and that's one of the things too, like with cannabis, that makes it so beneficial is the terpenes.
Yeah.
But we find that a lot of those terpenes that give the relief to certain symptoms in cannabis are also found in these herbs, and just simply breathing those terpenes in can help. Like
Yeah.
with the linalool in the lavender,
Yeah.
that terpene of linalool is very relaxing. It just helps ease tension and everything.
And
And I
the
know that,
citrus ones I like too for
yeah, like
anxiety.
limonene,
Yeah.
with in the lemon and oranges and bergamot, uh, and the orange. Now, a side note on bergamot, um, they use bergamot in Earl Grey. So if you're trying to get some herbal support from your breakfast tea, if you drink tea, just using the Earl Grey and smelling it and drinking that would help impart that limonene into your system.
Oh yeah. Sandalwood. I love smelling some sandalwood.
Oh yeah,
I
the
like
sandalwood.
smelling cedar too. I don't know what terpenes are in cedar, but that's one
I
of my.
know that I know there's like I know there's some limonene in there, and I think it's caryophyllene and pinene. Don't quote me on that.
It does have a
Um,
peppery kind of note to it, so I think like it's
yeah,
very
it's got.
subtle.
Well, another thing that's cool too about those two particular herbs is you can use them for bug repellent.
Yeah.
So not only is it de-stressing you, but let's say, and I know these are the winter months, but
Yeah.
let's like let's say for example, you're going on vacation in the summertime and you need stress less during the 4th of July. Keep that in mind. You know,
Yeah, the fireworks get you on edge.
yeah,
Then, CBD regimens. We've talked about that probably, maybe not in all the podcasts so far, but at least one. Like it's good for taking the edge off. Uh, it's got that calming, sedative kind of feel if you're on a regimen of it more so. Um,
yeah, and larger doses like are really good if you're doing wanting to do have a boost. So like
yeah,
25 to 75 milligrams daily is a good regimen, but if you're getting ready to have, you're getting ready to have a more stressful than average day, like you're getting ready to go shopping, holiday shopping, or you're
yeah.
getting ready to have a dinner or something, you just take an extra. I've done 150 milligrams in one go. It
And
was
you
really
probably
relaxing.
keep the CBD with the THC because, um, like I know you've explained to me before that if you take in too much THC, the CBD would balance it out somehow.
Yeah, it kind of smooths out the whole experience. I actually have a oops, I used too much THC kit.
Yeah, I've been.
Now I've
You
been
let
able
me
to
use it one time. I remember.
yeah. Yeah, I keep CBD and lemon oil. I've been keeping black pepper in it lately for the carothylene.
Yeah, like a peppercorn, I heard is good to
Hmm.
chew on.
Oh yeah, yeah. The peppercorns are really good. And then your CBD tincture and the CBD vape is usually what I keep in my kit,
Speaking of
and especially
vapes,
when I'm traveling.
yeah. Speaking of vapes, that's a good discreet way, to be able to dose your THC and CBD. Instead of stepping outside and somebody's like, "What's
Burning
he?"
a bowl,
Yeah,
smoking a joint. Yeah,
yeah,
you never know. On the holidays, you might have some people that are cool with running off and smoking.
yeah. A lot of
Uh,
families have like, "Let's go out on the porch. Don't tell grandma where we're going."
eh,
And then grandma's
yeah,
like, grandma comes out too, and she's like, "Let me in on that."
yeah. But it's also good to have those discreet, especially if you're somewhere where I mean you might even be able to get outside, but when you come in, you're gonna smell like it.
Yeah,
So the holidays is a good time to start experimenting with those different, more discreet methods. Although it is important to know you should try them before you leave,
yeah,
because if you're used to smoking flowers and you decide, hey, I'm going to buy a dab pen and use diamond sauce, uh, that's a lot stronger than flower,
yeah.
and you might ingest too much. And same with vapes. Some of the vapes are extremely potent,
Oh yeah,
and edibles too. You gotta be careful. You don't want to be like, oh, I've never done edibles before. Let's eat 100 milligrams and then go to the mall.
yeah. It's just three little gummies. I eat a handful of the Haribos, and I'm fine. But like,
Yeah, those are hobos.
we do still have the festive flower box. Um, speaking of the flower and the vapes, I'm sure everybody's seen by now the new live resin vapes, which they're pretty nifty, real sleek looking. I like them.
Yeah, another thing that's really cool about those is you get the 5 clicks on and off.
Yeah,
You have the auto draw option, so where you don't have to hold in the button. There's 4 temperature settings and a preheat.
yeah,
So if your vape's cold, you can preheat it and get a better, more clean hit.
yeah. And it's
And they're
going to be
US.
cold.
Yeah.
It'll be cold when you get it in the mail,
Yep.
unless you live in Florida or Texas, some places.
Yeah.
But then the CBD drops, uh, those are always they're the full spectrum live resin. So you know, I I might have already told this story a bunch of times about the CBN live spectrum, but you still got to kind of watch yourself, you know, if you have low tolerance. I'm not sure if the CBD's as strong as the CBN, but I'm a lightweight, so.
Yeah, I think it tests around 0.3 THC, so it's less, but
But there is
still be
THC in
aware
it, yeah.
that you don't want to give, that kind of CBD to like a dog or something.
Yeah.
You know, they'll feel
So,
it.
our deal for the podcast, the deal alert, save 10% off on all HTC Live Resin disposable vapes. And that's from 12/12/24 to 12/31/24. And the code you would use is Live Resin D10. And you can use that at checkout for 10% off on those vapes. So if you
And
haven't tried them, this is a good time to do so.
yeah, we'll see what we can do about putting that in the description too.
Yeah.
Make sure that y'all can copy and paste it if you want.
And also, I'll go back and put up the slide, at the end. So we'll get to check that out again.
Awesome. And we do have those the flower boxes. They're talking about doing a mix box with flour and gummies and I think a pre-roll. So keep an eye out for that. I don't recall the exact time, but definitely keep an eye out for that one. We did something like that last year too.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to some breath work here.
This is a really good one.
What
I use breath work all the time because you don't
you're
even
a
need to be really meditating.
Wim Hof fan, aren't you?
I follow to me some Wim Hof.
Yeah, he's a very interesting fella, isn't he? He's he can stay under like how cold of water, like sub-zero water,
Yeah, it's like in the Arctic. There, like that kind of temperatures. It's insane.
and
Just in a pair of trunks, and that's it.
yeah, and it's apparently all about breath control. So breath
Yeah,
work.
breath control is extremely powerful. There's even, and I don't think we have any of this on here, and this is definitely something I wouldn't give a try during the holidays when you're at a family member's house or in a hotel or something. But there's actually breath work that causes you to secrete more DMT. So you can actually kind of use your breath work to have a sort of a transcendental, like spiritual experience. So just to give an idea, some people say, "Oh, you're just breathing." Well, breath work can affect the brain chemistry and the autonomic nervous system, and really cause a lot of really powerful responses in your body. That's why you have a panic attack, you feel like you can't breathe.
Yeah.
You start hyperventilating, and it'll make all those symptoms worse.
Well, why don't you tell us what you know about the box breathing? 'Cause I know they make like
Yeah,
apps about that that you can
yeah. The
follow
box
along with.
breathing, it's really simple, and it's one of those things that's, excuse me, that's very adaptable. So that if your breath capacity is less or more than other people, you can adjust the numbers. But the idea is to take a 4 second or a 4 count breath in, hold it for a 4 count, exhale for a 4 count, I believe. And it's you can even change that around. Let's say, oh, and you're supposed to do it 4 times in a row before you start really feeling it affect your autonomic nervous system.
So
And like, if you need to do another set of four, do another set of four. If you feel like 5 or 6 count would be better, or a 3 count, you can adjust it to your own preference. It's just the 4 count's a good place to start.
yeah, basically just you know, keep the same time around the box of breathing. You don't
Hmm.
need a real box though. I
No.
feel, but also
It
known as
helps you.
square breathing. That could help with the visual side of it
Hmm.
a little bit better. But diaphragmatic breathing, diaphragmatic breathing.
Yeah, and that's just deep breathing deeply, and like you want your stomach to go out. You're breathing from as the lowest point possible.
Yeah,
And if you get really good at it and you get really like hone in that mind muscle sort of connection, you can kind of feel your core muscles stretching out when you're breathing in.
yeah, and
And
I heard too it helps like your digestive system. I know that sounds like they're totally not related, but getting your deep breaths in and all the shifting and stuff like that really helps. It's a lot better than breathing into your chest for sure.
oh yeah, you can get deeper breaths and more oxygen, and you can stimulate that like your vagus nerve there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I should have muted that.
So alternate nostril breathing is a new one that I never heard of. It's a
Yeah,
part of yoga practice. It can help even out breathing and reduce stress.
it's also a nifty, like practical tool to use if you're dealing with congestion.
And well, I think I have a deviated septum and some
Yeah,
congestion.
I do too.
Yeah, so maybe I should try it, and that might help. I don't know. That's definitely a
Yeah,
new one. That's interesting.
yeah, it's a new one for me. Like it's one of the later editions that I've ever, and I haven't used it too much yet, but it's supposed to be really, really good. And if you go like in the deep dive, and there's this whole idea that breathing through your left nostril versus the right nostril affects you in different ways. So it's definitely worth looking into.
And then the 4-7-8 breathing. This technique involves inhaling through your nose for 4 counts, holding for your breath for 7 counts, and exhaling through your mouth for 8 counts. And it can help relieve stress and anxiety and help people relax and fall asleep.
If I'm
So,
not mistaken, this method is the one that certain military personnel use.
yeah,
It's really good for like very, I guess you'd say, acute stressful situations. Like if you're in the middle of like say someone's yelling, or you're in a traffic, like really bad traffic, something like that. For me, it would be on a plane. Yeah,
yeah.
it's really good for all that.
And pursed lip breathing. This technique helps slow breathing and inhale and exhale air more. And I'm trying to imagine that. That's something I'll have to watch a video on probably.
Yeah, it is really good. Just think about kind of like a valve. You're able to kind of regulate how fast your breath comes in and goes out. Another one too. I think it's fire breath or something. I forget the exact name of it, but just going like that for a long period of time, like that open H sound, is
Yeah,
really helpful too.
yeah. Another good way to reduce your stress is to make sure you have plenty of sleep and rest. And that one right there gets me a lot because
Yeah.
I like to try to stay up late and I like to get up early at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can't be doing that. That's what they call burning your candle on both ends.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
And it's also important to kind of keep in mind that while it's really important to get sleep, that rest is actually a separate thing.
Yeah.
You can have a restful sleep, but it's also important to get rest during your waking hours.
Yeah. And meditation is a good way of wakeful resting.
It is, yeah. That's like I was talking about earlier there. Going into that alpha state, and you kind of almost feel like you took a nap.
Yeah. And we talked about sleep in great length in the first one, I believe, is what it was.
Yeah, it was all about sleep, and
And
we
that,
could do that about rest too. Like, both subjects, they have a lot of benefits, and there's a lot of facets to them that's extremely interesting and helpful.
yeah, and like that would include like if you're in a stressful situation, if possible, just removing yourself for a little bit away from the stressor,
Mm.
and the environment and the sounds you hear. If you retreat to the outside and it's just as hectic outside, you're not doing yourself, you know, a big favor, to be honest.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that sensory overload is real.
Yeah.
Just constant chatter and noise and motion. It can wear you down a little bit. So it's good to remove yourself from that every once in a while.
And your creative outlets, those are good ways you know, to get that wakeful stress reduction, without the sleeping and, just
Always bring my
losing
guitar.
lose yourself in a tune, do an improv lick, and then, spiritual things. If you're spiritual, pray, worship, allow yourself to feel your God's presence. If you don't worship a particular deity, take time to do whatever you usually do to focus on specific spiritual practice.
Yeah,
So,
it'd be a good time if you, if you're not, of a particular religious, you don't, particularly identify with any religion or anything like that. If you're just into like energy work or anything like that, just taking a moment and focusing on that is really regenerative. And then, praying and worship is it's good to spiritual work is good to help you remember to release things that you really don't have control over.
yeah, except the things I cannot change.
Yeah.
Now, there is one thing you could change is your schedule to make yourself a moment of peace, you know?
Yeah, getting up in the morning. One of my favorite things to do if I'm staying at a relative's house is when everyone's still in bed, is get up and get a cup of coffee and put on my jacket if it's cold and go sit on the porch.
Yeah. I think a lot of people
Just
like to do that, like get up before everybody else. Like we did that
hmm
a lot on my vacation too, out in the woods, and like, there's always that one guy or gal that's like, uh, they get up before everybody and they're like, "Oh, you're finally awake."
Yeah.
Like, you don't know it, but I've been awake for a couple hours, sir. But finding that time, it's worth you're worth it to schedule you a moment of peace for sure. You know.
Yeah, it's important to take care of yourself and be able to, lay out any plans for the day. It's definitely important to make sure you know what's going to happen and give yourself that moment to decompress or prepare. So like evening time is another good time to take that moment of peace. Like wait until everyone's in bed and go outside or go somewhere that's quiet and comfortable. And those are also good times to practice your meditation or just to zone out or
Yeah.
do whatever, play your guitar, paint, pray.
It sounds
It's
like
it's
a
important.
place that me and you used to go to find our moment of peace, the bridge, play our
Yeah, oh yeah.
guitars. If you have a spot like that, like you're lucky enough to have a retreat, the more time you spend somewhere like that, that's just automatic gratitude, like you're thankful for it
hmm
by
And that's an
using it.
important way to keep that peace.
And speaking of walking down to the bridge, staying active, physical activity will reduce stress. I don't know why I don't do it more, because every day that I do like a mile walk or something, like I just feel great, you know. Like I
Mm-hmm.
even get to bed earlier. Like I
And
don't
you
have the
sleep
urge.
deeper too, don't you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I'm the same way. I get that.
it could be just the physical activity, but I think also, doing it outside in the sun is like a double whammy,
Oh yeah, and the fresh air, and I mean that in itself is a moment of peace right there.
Yeah.
And
And
and if you do it regularly, it's good to do it. When you have time, especially if you're getting away and trying to get away from things during a vacation, or when you're visiting relatives or anything like that. But it's also good to just maintain that, just so you feel better, for a long car trip or a long flight. If you're regularly active, it's like meditation. It's something you can pick up. You don't have to have equipment to stay active. Um, it's good for in the moment, but it's also good for that long term health.
yeah. And then if hotels are putting gyms in them, there's got to be something to it, huh?
Yeah.
Like if
I
you
want a
got
free meal.
like you get free breakfast and a workout.
That's all you
Yeah,
need.
the two things you cannot live without. Well, for some people that may be caffeine and nicotine, though. That's something we should cover.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You go on vacation, you're away from the house. You're around, let's say you're around other people that don't smoke, or like you smoke and other people around you don't, or it's really important to not choose this moment to quit smoking.
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
you'll most assuredly fail. But
yeah, and you'll be stressed the whole time.
yeah, but don't increase. You know,
Mhm.
same with the caffeine. You don't want to keep yourself awake and you know keep your you know the sleep stress removal from occurring. So
That's a hard one for me. If I go to someone's house and we're visiting and they're drinking coffee, I usually cut off coffee before noon,
yeah.
and they're like brewing coffee to go with dinner or dessert.
Oh man.
I always end up drinking it, and then I'm just wired the
Well,
rest of the night.
you know what's good about going on vacation to someone else's house is they usually have tinier coffee cups.
That's
And
true.
they sometimes even have tinier coffee pots.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
like
true.
when I was on vacation, the coffee mug, like for a regular sized person, I guess they'd be like, "Oh, this is like a coffee cup." To me, it was like I felt like I was sitting down for tea with our niece. So like tea time, I could only hold it with my pointer and my thumb, with my pinky out.
Little
But
espresso cup.
yeah, now, here's just a couple of quick ones. Picking when to feast. Um, yeah, like Thanksgiving, we're past it now as of the recording, but you know, I think eating the like first thing in the morning and then you just eat all day, that might not be as good of a thing when it comes to eating a lot of Thanksgiving. But I'm
And
not sure if
over
that was the point you were wanting to make, but
I was thinking more like overindulging in general, with
yeah.
food, like no matter when it is more stressful on your body. So like
Hmm.
if you say eat a big Christmas dinner and then everybody wants to go walking around looking at Christmas lights,
Yep.
maybe it'd be better if you ate a normal size portion and when you came back ate a little bit more.
Yeah.
You don't want to add that extra stress to your body and feel uncomfortable and not be able to enjoy the other activities.
I do want to go through this whole list, but I know we're
Yeah.
running out of time. But it's like choose your battles is that one just kind of inspires me a little bit to speak on.
Yeah, go for it.
If you're like, if you're with your family on the holidays and there's just this thing, that happened years ago, that there's a little bit of tension about, and somebody, brings up something about it, and it's part of the conversation, but it just really stews you, just
Hmm.
know that, like, maybe you feel stressed out because this doesn't seem as important to them, or you know it it's all about perspective, and deciding what you want to invest your spiritual energy in,
Hmm.
and there's places to put spiritual energy. You can pour it into a cup and it's there still, or you can throw it in a fire and it burns away.
Hmm. Yeah.
So choose your battles, and you know it's always good to retreat and live to fight another day, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Planning that will reduce your stress because you'll sort of know what to expect, unless your plans go awry. But plans, they can change. They're fluid.
It's good to plan for your plans to fall apart.
Yeah.
Just be
Not in
ready
a
for it.
pessimistic way, but in like
No, no.
an intelligent, kind of way.
Happy accident, sort of
Yeah.
Bob Rossian
Yeah.
theology.
There's no mistakes. There's a this cloud will now become a bush. Identify comfort items like watching Bob Ross on PBS. Yeah.
Bring a nice pillow, your favorite pillow, a bathrobe if that's something. You have a nice comfortable robe you wear, or
Or your hacky
uh,
sack.
you have yeah.
I use hacky sacks as stress balls though, because I don't know, they're
That's a
just
good idea. Like
yeah,
grinding the beads together.
yeah. That's
That's a
a
good idea.
fidget toy that I don't think has been introduced to this time yet.
I'm about to get one. That's a really good idea. I never
uh,
even thought about that.
your base of operations, a fallback point. That porch outside. Just make sure your coat's right next to it. You can pop out the door, take a big deep breath. You know,
And
or
if you're visiting, oh, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say if there's more than one bathroom, you could just claim one of them. Like,
Yeah.
this is my panic room.
I was gonna say if you're traveling quite a distance and you're gonna be staying overnight and you're with relatives that tend to, you know, get upset with each other or fight, or there is any number of things that can cause friction, it really might not be a bad idea to plan ahead and have a hotel room, or rent a motel or something, just so that you can have somewhere to go that's not home.
Yeah, have you a little bit of a emergency budget set aside for that?
Yeah, even save up, like, like, let's say, this Christmas they say, well, we're gonna all do Christmas here this year, and it's like, well, that's a long ways away. Go ahead and start putting back a little bit of cash.
Yeah,
Make sure you can rent that hotel room, or some people like to rent RVs, so they got their transportation and somewhere to stay all in one.
yeah. The last one on our lightning round, our very slow lightning round.
Yeah.
The try to avoid heavy drinking. You know, that's gonna do. I mean, it's okay in my opinion to have a drink or two, but you get drink number 3 and you want to have a drink number 4. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and it's
it's only going to lead you to a place of stress. You're either going to feel sick in the morning and stress about when to get up, or maybe you will not know which battle to choose.
say or do something that will make the whole night go awry.
And you're embarrassed about it and no one even really cared, but you stress yourself out about it.
Hmm.
Something
Yeah.
like that. But we're kind of at the end here, wrapping up. We plan to speak for 30 minutes, but we're around 45 minutes. So if you're still hanging in there with us, you know, we definitely appreciate you all and all the comments we've been getting on our videos, and keep them coming. And you can always email us at the support at bepainfreeglobal.com. You can get in the chat. You might even talk to one of us. It has our names on there, so you'll know it's us. And if you decide you want a phone call, you just ask that Nathan or Sean in chat, and you'll get one of us. So,
and if you have any suggestions for things for us to cover, we're always open.
Yeah, we're enjoying doing this, and the people that are enjoying it, it's we like it a lot. I'd say.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And don't forget our deal. Save 10% off on all HTC live resin disposable vapes. That's the newer ones that we were talking about. That's for 12/12/24 to 12/31/24. The code is live resin D10. Don't forget about that. And don't forget to tune in to our next one, and subscribing will alert you. So definitely try to subscribe. It's for free. So,
and if you like it digitally.
Yeah, that's free too.
It is.
We're not going to charge for our podcast. This is the season to give.
It is indeed.
You have any closing statements?
I think we just about covered it. Just enjoy your holiday, and don't over medicate if you can avoid it,
and don't under medicate.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, happy holidays to all, and to all a good night, Merry Christmas, and all that, and happy Thanksgiving.
And we'll see y'all on the next one.